Okay, so in the last live session, we completed till this paragraph. Okay, and I will just go through from the first and give an overview. This newsletter was about the dream of the Maoist India and how the Maoists surrendered in the recent years in 2019, and how the Maoist grew, how the Maoist movement originated, and how it started capturing different parts of India, especially the jungle areas. Okay, so I will just go through and these paragraphs and tell you in brief. On 2010, in this paragraph, there was the author said that in 2010, 6th April 2010, a very big uh, Maoist incident and a very big insurgency incident occurred in Chhattisgarh, and in that ambush, about what's the number? 75 paramilitary soldiers were killed, and one state policeman was also killed. Accompanying them was also killed, and um, this was the biggest casualty. Not casualty, but this was the biggest. I mean, yeah, it's casualty also. Yeah, it's casualty. This was the biggest casualty number for the Indian paramilitary forces. Even though the Indian army is fighting in Kashmir with the Islamist extremist militants for 20 years. So in the mid 2000s, the Maoists grow in strength, and they captured the Deccan in the south, from the Nepal border in the east to Deccan in the south. This was their territory, not the whole territory, but some parts of this territory. Okay, the Maoists call that captured territories as Dandakaranya or DK. Okay, the indigenous people, the indigenous people of the Dandakaranya were the Adivasis. Okay, in 2009, and due to this incident, no, not due to this incident, but in 2009, Manmohan Singh, the then Prime Minister of India, also stated that Maoists or the Maoist militants are the greatest internal security threat to India. And okay, so and also the Adivasis of that DK or the Dandakaranya that were captured by the uh, Maoist militants. The Adivasis think that the Maoist militants are the government officials. Okay, because the Adivasis are so isolated in that um, forest area that they don't even know that there is Delhi, there is Kolkata, there is Mumbai. Okay, they don't know about the outside world, and they think that the um, Maoist militants are the government officials and the government forces. They are just capturing it. Okay, so that Dandakaranya forest zone is a valuable, resourceful area. Okay, okay, the zone or the area of the forest that is captured by the Maoist militants is full of natural resources, and the government wants to access to that natural resources, but the Maoists don't let it happen. They always retaliate. They always kill the security forces. Even um, may it be the paramilitary forces or the state police officers. They also the Maoist militants also come to the urban areas and um, raid the armory of the state police, and also and they get the bullets and the guns from that raids, because they don't have the manufacturing power to manufacture their own guns and bullets and rifles. They are not a government. Okay, so they don't have the manufacturing power. They borrow they buy from illegal arms dealers, or they raid the police armory or the government armory and then loot all the rifle and the bullets and everything they can get. Okay, so also in this area, mm, yeah, then the author starts to tell about himself that he was a Kashmiri Pandit. He belongs to a family of Kashmiri Pandit who was in the 1960s. 1960s. Am I saying it right? In 1990s, sorry, in the 1990s, they were forced to leave Kashmir due to the increasing Muslim majority extremist activity. Okay, and Hindu became a minority in Kashmir. He was forced to exile. Okay, and then he started journalism, and he went to, I mean, the Maoist captured areas, the Maoist militant captured areas. Okay, yeah. So the author or the journalist visited the Dandakaranya and stayed with the Adivasis. He saw that in the Adivasis still don't have any source of income and also die of hunger in many times. Okay, so the author is criticizing that in the urban areas we generally start a conversation on $1 trillion economy, and still people in the forest areas, who are so poor that they are dying of hunger. Okay, so uh, think no, I think I have read till this paragraph. Yeah, till this paragraph. Yeah, till this paragraph. And, this. Mm, I can't remember. Uh, no. Till this paragraph or this one? Yeah, for sure. This one. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. In this paragraph, the authors stated, or the author explained how the Maoist and the Naxalbari movement started. Maoist movement and the Naxalbari movement started. Okay, so it was also discussed, and this Naxalbari movement was also discussed in, I think, in the French Parliament, or in France. A leftist student discussed about it. Okay, so in this till this paragraph, small guerrilla squads began to indulge in the class annihilation, killing hundreds and landlords. Okay, this was about the Naxalbari, Communist Party of India. Yeah, the Naxalbari. Yeah, the Naxalbari. I'm from West Bengal. I know what Naxalbari is. In the 1960s, these delusional communists felt that, yeah, the author is on our side. He told a communist delusional. They always in a delusion. In the 1960s, these delusional communists felt that the Communist Party of India had grown complacent and corrupt, and and that its leaders were conscious traitors to the revolutionary cause. They made their case in long papers and articles full of communist jargon in publications like Deshabrati, People's March, and Liberation. The essence of the indis- indictment was the poor and the working class and had been laid down by the parliamentary left. The parliamentary left, uh, the left government leaders that were in the parliament. Okay. Uh, in 1969, the breakaway communists formed their own party. I think I have to zoom in. Yeah, now it's okay. Where I was. Uh, yeah. In 1969, these breakaway communists formed their own party, the Communist Party of India, Marxist-Leninist. I think this party has its origin in West Bengal or in Kerala. Most probably in Kerala or in West Bengal. I don't know. Okay. Which announced its aim to unite the working class in the peasantry and seize the power through armed struggle. Okay. So someone is getting armed struggle after independence. And they sought help from China. Okay, Chinese linked, which was quick to offer it, calling the uprising a peal of spring thunder. Some of the men inspired by Mao traveled to the China through Nepal and Tibet, receiving political training from Mao's associates. Okay, the Maoist message spread from Naxalbari to other parts of India like Bihar, Andhra Pradesh, Punjab, Kerala, inspired by its main leader Charu Majumdar. Small guerrilla squads began to indulge in the class annihilation. Class annihilation means the upper class annihilation. They kill the upper class people all over West Bengal, and then it's spread it in other states of India, killing hundreds of landlords and their henchmen, policemen, and other state representatives to allow the murderers to live on means of death to us. Majumdar declared liberation. The party mouthpiece between the 1967 to 72 in full of the reports of killing of landlords and how land and other property they owned had been confiscated by the peasant guerrillas. Uh, in practice, however, class annihilation proved counterproductive on the streets of Calcutta, today's Kolkata, for example. Yeah, the naive men of the elite colleges would roam around with crude bombs. Crude bombs means they used to put kerosene or petroleum or diesel in a glass bottle and fill the and close it with a cork. With a cork, I don't know, a rubber cork. Yeah, rubber cork. Close with a rubber cork, and also put uh, mm, clothing dipped in uh, petroleum or diesel or kerosene, and just put that cloth around the neck of that bottle and just throw it. When the um, glass bottle gets broke, the diesel sprayed and the fire in the cloth that was tied around the neck of the bottle uh, ignited the ignited the diesel that was sprayed all over the road or anything that was, and that caught a fire, and that caught fire, and that leads to the fire incidents. And okay, and that's how fire bomb was made. Fire bomb, crude bombs, and even razors. Yeah, they also carry razors, and just in the narrow um, lanes of North Calcutta, they just put out the just what to say. They just take out the razor and slice or what, and just cut the neck of the wealthy people in Calcutta. Nonetheless, in the late 1960s, the Naxalbari movement inspired thousands of bright men and women from the elite families studying at the prestigious schools. They said goodbye to the lucrative careers and made the feudal areas where the poor faced the utmost oppression their workplace. Beginning in the July 1971, a brutal government response killed hundreds of Indian Maoists, probably including the leader Mujumdar. He died in police custody in 1972. Okay, so in this paragraph and this paragraph and this paragraph, okay, the author explained that how the Maoist and the Naxalbari movement started in West Bengal and how it used to kill the wealthy, I think wealthy, what to say, wealthy people of the society because they feel that the wealthy are corrupted and they don't pay their slaves, not slaves, but the laborers who work in their factories or in their um, farmland. They don't pay them well, and also, for this against this oppression, the Naxalbari movement started. They also the Naxal Charu Majumdar. He also went to Nepal, China, and learned about the uprising, or now learned about where is Nepal? Where is Nepal? Inspired by Mao, traveled to China and learned from and received political training. Not learned about anything, but received political training from Mao's associate, who was then alive in China. Okay, so and then the Maoist message spread from Naxalbari from to in India, the other parts of India like Bihar, Andhra Pradesh, Punjab, and Kerala. To be honest, Bihar and Andhra Pradesh and Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh, they are the most affected due to this Naxalbari movement. And Charu Majumdar and this here the author said that some hundreds of streets of Calcutta lucrative carry the and to be point out that the Naxalbari people, the people or the masses who run the Naxalbari movement or the Naxalbari protest were mainly from the upper class, educated Bengali family. Okay, in West Bengal at least. And the upper class educated Bengali family, they spread the Naxalbari movement to other states. They went to the villages of the other states and then united the farmers and the all the factory workers, and they influenced the Naxalbari movement in other states also. But in But in the beginning of the July 1971, a brutal government response, the then Congress government, killed hundreds of Indian Maoists, probably including the leader Majumdar, who died in the police custody in 1972. He was arrested and then he was killed. Not he was killed, but he died because of health problems. Kondapalli, Sita Ramanya, Sita Ramaya, Kondapalli Sitaramaya, popularly known as Case, was one of the dissatisfied dissatisfied with the shape of the parliamentary left had taken in India. He was a school teacher in Andhra Pradesh, and which had a long history of feudalism and communist struggles. Yeah, Andhra Pradesh has a long history of feudalism and communist struggles. In the state of North Telangana area bordering Chhattisgarh and other example, the Chhattisgarh, for example, feudal customs and the slavery like vetti were still being practiced decades after India became free, KS, a former member of the Communist Party of India, had had not lost all hope and decided to join the hands with Majumdar's line, Charu Majumdar. But before he could start, he decided the Maoists needed a rear base, like Mao had like Mao had urged for the guerrillas to hide in the forest. And the other amendments in the Majumdar's line was with regards to the formation of the overground organization. Further, the cause of revolution, something that Majumdar has strongly opposed. In 1969, KS sent a young medical student to a forest area in Telangana to explore the possibility of creating a rear base. A medical student. But in the absence of any support, the lone man couldn't achieve anything and had to return. In the mid 1970s, KS sent another young man to the little further inside the Chhattisgarh, spending a few months inside. The man who had acquired basic medical training started treating the poor tribals. But again, how much could one man or two do so? So he returned as well. Okay, he returned. So KS is another. So KS made another change in strategy. He took the Maoists out of the shadows and founded an organization that, on the surface, were civic associations, but meant meant to further the Maoist ideology. Prominent among these was the Radical Students Union (RSU), launched in October 1974 along the cultural troupe Jananatya Mandali. Young RSU members began a Go to Village campaign on KS instruction. In this campaign, the young students radicals were inherent believers of the in the armed struggle would try to make villagers politically conscious. Okay, the Go to Village campaign started some initial success, starting the and this paragraph made it clear that how KS started, and these two paragraphs how KS started the the Maoist militant group. Okay, the Maoist militant group in 1974, from 1974, I think so. 1970s, from the 1970s, in the mid 1970s. Okay, uh, so Homeless campaign, hundreds of young people and from the universities and other prestigious institutions of Andhra Pradesh left their studies and vote to the fight for the poor. Okay, they are very generous. Okay, 14 students from Osamania Osamania University. What is this? In what what was the Andhra's capital, Hyderabad, joined 40 from other parts of the state also joins the Maoist RSU. The Maoist Go to Village campaign found fertile ground in the town of Jaktial in the states of in the states Karimanagar district. Mm, there was as across people and bhakti in the celebrate the Bhatukama, and these are the all the yapping song jargons. You don't have to go through all this. As the Maoists pushed on, the state retreated and the Adivasis began to exert their rights over the forest. Okay. On September, okay, I am much, much left. On September 7, 1978, under the influence of the Maoists, tens of hundreds of agricultural laborers from 150 villages marched to the center of uh, Jaktial. The march was led by two people, uh, Mu- Mupalla Lakshman Rao, and Ganapathy, alias Ganapathy. Okay, his name was Ganapathy. He came from Karimnagar itself and would become K's closest confident, confidant, later taking over from how to become a Maoist chief. The other was Mallojula Venkateswara Rao alias Kishanji, a science to graduate who would prove to be an efficient leader and military commander. So, fled cities. This was marched towards the center of Jikital. Okay, Jaktial. It was a town. Mm. And this happened, and this happened. Armed squads were mobilized, peasants and contested for June 1985 to seven members of the hinterland, four of them in the North Telangana, Bastar in the Chhattisgarh, and Gadri Gadchiroli in Maharashtra, an area of the Adivasis live. They are mostly food gatherers, and their life was remained unchanged. They are most abandoned, remain unchanged for hundreds of years. Abundant of minerals lay under in the land under the Adivasis live, uh, but they lacked even basic modern services like education and healthcare. Okay, and the Maoists in 1980, the Swedish writer Jan Myrdal visited the Maoists, and one of the comrades told him on the incident of the North Telangana, in which Myrdal recounts in his book India Waits, 1986. A notorious rowdy there had installed among was installed fear among the people on the behalf of his master, a landlord. He raped a washer girl. In shame, she jumped into the well and drowned herself. When the Maoists came to know of it, four of them, till recently students, called him out in the bazaar. When he arrived, the rebels caught him with and caught him with a lasso, cut off his hands, and nailed them on the wall inside the shop. The rough, vigilant justice inspired many more young people to join the Maoist men like Nambala Keshava Rao, a graduate of such of the much respected Warangal Engineering College, and Patel Sridhar Reddy and the master's degree from Os, Osmania. And it was bought to the young men. All the jargons are here, the names are here. We don't have to remember all the names and all the incidents here. Okay, one of the prominent recruiters of Mavis attracted the friends and siblings of other families members to join. And Doug McAdam, professor of the sociology in the Stanford University in Columbia, has written about the strong tie phenomena, in which the connections of the high risk activation and violence in Bastar and elsewhere. Maoist guerrillas targeted people and agencies they conspired exploiters. They considered exploiters. They considered themselves exploiters, but they might be not exploiters. For example, they started negotiating barter rates in the collection of tendu leaves used to manufacture local cigarettes, BD. Most of the, but along with that, they also started the cuts from businessmen and running the organization. The Norwegian anthropologist Millers targeted people and the agencies employed, but along the started take cuts from businessmen to run the organization. Organizations, the Maoists began to extort a levy from corporate houses. Okay, involved in the mining of these areas, as well as the government contractors in the process of deviated from their promise of returning the forest to the Adivasis and helping the poor. This is how money corrupts everyone. Even you are a communist or Maoist or anyone, anyist. Okay, they spent most of their time running their organization and launching attacks against the government forces. In her research, in the central Bihar, 1995-1996, the Indian sociologist Bela Bhatia concluded that the Maoist leaders have taken the little interest in enhancing the quality of life in life quality of life in the villages. In fact, these leaders regarded development as antagonist to revolutionary consciousness. She wrote in 2005. In the meantime, the Indian state was growing impatient with the Maoists. In 2010, a London-based securities house reported report predicted that making the Maoists go away could unlock 80 billion of investment in the eastern central India. New Delhi began preparations for a large-scale operation to get rid of them, but before that, the extraordinary arrest of 2009 of the Maoist ideologue Gobat Gandhi, Gobat Gandhi or Gandhi, I don't think so. What is no? I don't know how to pronounce it. In Delhi, hated the heightened the political interest in the insurgents. Special police agents in the Andhra Pradesh had managed to locate the Gandhi, who had been living in the slum using fake identification. He came from an elite Parsi family in Mumbai. Why the Parsis are getting involved in this kind of activities? His father was finance director in Glaxo. The fuck? Why? He has studied with Indian political dynasts at the elite Doon School. A Doon School is providing Maoist leaders? Not is providing, was providing Maoist leaders back then. A Doon School is a esteemed school. It's an elite school. Right? People don't even get chance to study there. The fees is so high, and also the admission process is also based on the who is your father, and had gone to London to pursue further education as an accountant. You had a very bright future. In the UK, he was introduced to radical politics. Now also the Islamic radicalists were there in UK. The Islamic Brotherhood, Islamic Brotherhood camping or the club. I don't know what to say. Yeah, so they are camping in the US. They're radicalizing students. It's an organization, Islamic Brotherhood. Yeah, so in UK, the radical protests returned to Mumbai in 1970s, where he met Anuradha Shanbag, a young woman from a family of notable Indian communists and a student of Elphinstone College in Mumbai. Shanbag and these are all jargons. Okay, after Gandhi's arrest in 2009, rumors arose that he had been sent to work among the laborers as a part of the Maoist urban agenda. The arrest became a hot topic in Delhi circles. For the first time, it sparked interest in the Maoist movement among the among people who did not bother it, who didn't who did not bother to read a newspaper beyond its fashion section. Okay, Gandhi's abandonment, 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 abandonment on of his elite background to the fight for poor created a wave of empathy for the Maoist movement. Okay, around the time of his arrest, I got a rare opportunity to meet Maoist chief Ganapati. The the meeting happened by chance through some of overground sympathizers. He had learned that I was in a city close to the guerrilla zone, in which he was then handling was then hiding. By this time, state surveillance was at peak, and Maoist leadership was extremely cautious of any contact with outsiders. Ganapati, in particular, barely met anyone except his commanders. Uh, After days of travel through the guerrilla zone, I was allowed to record a conversation on a digital device provided by his men. After Ganapati left the area, I transcribed the interview, but even that I was not allowed to carry with me. A month later, I received the transcript through one of his overground workers in Delhi. As a part of the anti-Maoist operation, the government began to push infrastructure. I am in the last few stanzas of this newsletter. A few months later, in 2010, while I spent time with the Maoist leader Gajrala Ashok and Narmada Akka in their camp, I sent a questionnaire to the Ganapati. His reply came a few weeks later, in which he made mention of his importance of work in urban areas. If Giridi, a small town in the east, is liberated first, then, based on the strength and the struggles of the working class in the Gurugram, in Gurgaon will be liberated later. Okay, Gurgaon was in the Maoist area. Okay, that's why Gurgaon is now a tech hub. Okay, in tall order, the innumerable problems in the cities, including poverty. But with the liberalization in the 1990s, middle class insularity had made most people oblivious of the sufferings of others. The Maoists wanted to make inroads through slums and labor unions, but did not find enough reception. The curiosity and the empathy of the Maoists generated among the ordinary people in the cities soon dissipated. The conservative BJP, which was rising the national power, relentlessly used Kashmir to rouse Hindu sentiment in mainland India. In the first decade of 2000, Islamist radicals targeted the mainland India, creating friction of the creating friction with the Muslim minority. The parliament had come under the attack in 2001. Mumbai faced a terrorist attack in 2008. Between these, many Indian cities, Delhi, Hyderabad, Varanasi, Jaipur, were targeted with bomb blasts, killing scores of people. At the same time, the overground sympathizers of the Maoist movement began uh, hobnobbing with separatist elements of the Kashmir and Indian Northeast, with had a long history of sectionism. And these political alliances started controversies. Maoist sympathizers had a new term coined for them: urban Naxal. Hindu nationalism was on the rise in India, and in the coming years, this term would become a ruse for the government to suppress all activism, resulting in the incarnation of civil rights and activists like human rights lawyer Sudha Bharadwaj and the Maoist. As a part of the Maoist operation, the government began to push infrastructure, primarily roads and mobile cell phone towers, in the Maoist affected areas. It led to further entrenchment of state forces, which also weakened the Maoist. The leaders who were hiding in the cities began to be hunted down. Okay, the new rules and the new tower, welcomed by the rural people, the Maoists began killing Adivasis on suspicion of being police informers. These violence annihilated the Adivasis and others too. Earlier in the Maoist uh, would ha- uh, would visit a village in the night and sleep away, even if the presence was reported. No it was of no use to security forces because the information would reach them quite late. But with the cell phone networks, the people could immediately immediately lead to encounters between the Maoists and the state security forces. Indian Maoist movement had rapid since 2020. The decline of the Indian Maoist movement is rapid. The Maoist commander Ashok, whom I had met in the forest in 2010, surrendered in 2015, and one of his brothers already died in the encounter. Meanwhile, Akka was arrested in 2019 in Hyderabad, and where she was seeking treatment for cancer. She died in a hospice 3 years later. A month ago, a friend in Gurugram told me of an incident where he lives. His local resident welfare association had put a cage in the park with a banana inside in the liver mon marauding monkeys in the vicinity. Few hours later, they found that the banana had been consumed by someone and the peel left outside the cage. It made imagine how hungry that person would have been, mostly like a poor worker. This friend sent me a screenshot of the Residents Association WhatsApp group. Check the CCTV. Check the CCTV. Some had written the Maoists completely surrendered now, asking the government to accept ceasefire. A statement released in September purportedly 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 by a part of the Maoist leadership apologizes to the people, saying that in the process of revolution, the leadership made several tactical mistakes, and that the ceasefire was now important to stop the bloodshed. What those mistakes are, the letter wouldn't say. The letter wouldn't say. Anti-Maoist operation go on with even more rigor. A handful of those still inside the forest and will ultimately surrender or be killed. How history remembers them is too early to say, but in fact, that it had not been for them, the much needed focus on the hinterland of decay would not have been there. However, the man in Gurugram who stole in the banana, who stole the banana, and the man in Giridhi who doesn't even have a banana inside, it means nothing. Very sense sense. Okay, let's stop.